Now we move forward to much anticipated part of the today's event, our keynote address. It is my distinct privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, Mr. P. Vasudevan, Executive Director at Reserve Bank of India. With a career spanning for over 3 decades at RBI, Mr. Vasudevan has played a pivotal role in strengthening India's financial infrastructure, particularly in the areas such as payments and settlements systems, bank supervisions, and regulatory strategy. In his current capacity, he leads the activities related to fintech and corporate strategy. He has represented the Reserve Bank of India in various international forums like Committee for Payments and Market Infrastructure, CPMI, and like SARC Payments, SPC. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause as we welcome Mr. P. Vasudevan to the stage. We would like to invite Mr. Vasudevan on the stage. We would also like to invite Professor Ashok Banerjee on stage to join us.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Thanks to the Institute, the professor and team for having me here. Some difficulties we will have with LLMs when we try to ask them something and we try to get an extract. My name is Vasudevan, not Vasudevan, so I thought let me make that clarity. And nice to, as I said, be here as a non-techie. I am from a non-tech industry as well. But I have actually enjoyed being part of the digital payment revolution and many more such initiatives which the country has seen. And we feel actually these initiatives can help us propel and take us to the world where the AI will settle down and AI will be the thing for the future. I was actually initially wondering whether the topic beyond AI, how will we be able to justify and what are we supposed to look at? Then I realized that if we have to usher in AI and we have to make it settle down well, there are many dimensions that we need to look at. So what are those dimensions and how do we actually ensure that the benefits of AI are harnessed by everyone and we can actually see that the country that has seen successes in the payment space, in the technology space, can be also seen in this AI space as well. I am actually emboldened and empowered by virtue of being part of this space. I thought I'll spend some time with you. The director was mentioning about the PPP mode, absolutely essential in any initiative that we do. That has been our approach as well. And similarly, when we are looking at us being, say, self-reliant, self-empowered, and selfless, so we need to have this PPP mode to take us forward. Many of the initiatives that have been undertaken within the Reserve Bank, I can share as well. And I was just checking before I took the stage whether we are on camera. I was told yes, so I said I'll hold on to some of those things we are doing because at this stage, some of them may not be public yet, so I will have to maintain that element of confidentiality. See, AI has been in many ways being used already, but what we are trying to make it is mainstream AI by adding many more things as well. And the country that we are in, the data that we have, the data becomes the most important resource. I am reminded of one of the experiments we are undertaking now of nowcasting GVA, gross value added, using the data available to us from our NEFT and RTGS payments. Now just imagine the wealth of data that can come in from these payments, which are now 24/7 by 365. And how we can harness that to see for what all purposes are payments being made. For which part of the week or month do these payments get made? What part of the day do these payments get made? These are the data points that we have to see that we can use them to nowcast GVA. But some of those problems that come out is many of these data fields lack consistency and lack completeness as well. For instance, we send a payment instruction, we complete a payment message, but we may or may not write there for what purpose we are making the payment. Sometimes we may say that I am sending it for a salary purpose or for paying rent, etc. But then we may not really intend to mention what we are actually doing in the message. And that becomes a hurdle if you are using that data to create some nowcasting or forecasting tool. Similarly, some of those credit risk models and behavior models are using these inputs from forms and time taken to fill a form to predict a person's eligibility to take a loan. We are very concerned about some of these things because we know that financial inclusion is the most important agenda in the country that has been driving us for past couple of decades as well. But in the process of financial inclusion, if you try to use these tech models and see that that's how we decide on the eligibility or credibility of a person who comes for a loan and end up making a mistake. The financial exclusion is more dangerous than not having financial inclusion. That is being seen in some of the situations where these models are literally black boxes. The developers, the entities that are imbibing or employing these models are not comfortable as well to understand what the box is doing and how the box can be asked to explain why it has taken a decision. So that becomes an area where we need to also worry about to see that when some entities or some developers come to have these models as part of their mainstream activities, how are they actually taking care of this transparency? How are they taking care of this responsibility as well? And if many of these models become mainstream again and many of these entities try to adopt a similar approach, then we have the problem of herd mentality. That's one thing again we want to avoid. We have seen, for example, some of these recent instances of scene simulation, court scenes were being simulated, some of these instances where deepfakes have been created, even the governor RBI was not spared. I remember we got a complaint from one of the individuals saying that based on the governor's video, we have put some money. And if you say in a later message that this message was a deep fake, then please give us back the money because we trusted him. Now, whom do we go back to say that, Arey, you have developed this model or you have created this? Now, whom do we go back to have a liability clause on them? Those are the challenges that we have. And some of the hackathons and the sandboxes that Reserve Bank runs as well, we come out with certain themes whereby we say that we want to have an AI-empowered solution to, say, arrest, prevent, detect frauds. And many entities come saying that we have an AI-powered solution. But when we sit through the solution, when we have a jury that is listening to them, then we realize probably AI is in their mind and not in the solution. So that becomes a real challenge actually to understand what they had in their mind and what actually is AI in the solution. We didn't find any AI in the solution. That's what I said, I have to be on camera so I can be very politically correct. So we ended up rewarding some, thinking that going forward probably they will employ AI more in their products and we can engage with them to have these things. But in our, for example, we also use AI in understanding the reports that are coming to us. Internally, we have decided to employ AI chatbot to have more clarity on the RBI circulars for our own staff. For example, it runs on our knowledge portal, and then anybody can go to that portal internally and ask about a particular topic or a particular new initiative that has been launched. The AI looks into those circulars and gives out its own version. Then we realize there are many things probably we have to do better. For example, many of our circulars are not empowered for or enabled for machine learning. So how do we actually do that? By going far back into history. Many of them could be in PDF formats. How do we entertain or enable these AI bots to pick up those things? So we want to be very clear. Recently, you would have been aware that the geofencing and geopolitical activities have also commenced on the AI front as well. If you would have seen day before, the US President, US executive order on AI leadership to be maintained by the US. They have mentioned about what are all the things they are going to do to see that the leadership position or pole position is maintained. Similarly, there was another list which says that which are all the countries which could be allowed or facilitated to use the things that need to be in AI to have AI with us. For example, the chips and all those weights, etc. Probably India may not figure in the first list or in the top list as well. It's also very much in our right to also have similar reasons or initiatives to see that we ring fence ourselves. I'll tell you some of the things where we have tried to ring fence ourselves in the payment space. For example, if you are dependent on a particular institution or network for a particular purpose, and some of those recent tensions and escalations in one part of the world also prevented some services being available to the world at large. I can talk about SWIFT, I can talk about some of those payment networks like card networks not being available. So we have tried to ring fence ourselves to say that we will develop our own messaging systems. We have our own messaging systems. And we can also ensure that we have sufficient redundancies internally to see that we are not handicapped in case those infrastructures are not available to us. So we will continue in that journey in our present AI mode as well. We have just set up a committee for ethical and responsible enablement of AI in the financial services sector called Free AI. And we believe in that free AI in the sense that it should be freely available for everyone to use, freely available for everyone to implement in their system. But there has to be some guardrails. And what are the guardrails? We have heard about when we use AI, about hallucination effect, about human in the loop, about some of those things now being talked about, prompt leakage, etc. So we have to be very mindful because people are here out to exploit. As I said about these frauds that are happening, so digital payments are the lifeline of our economy, makes us all do things more comfortably. But if you see the types of frauds that are coming in, we have a situation where probably now one fraud happens for around 87,000 transactions. Now our intention is to see that this number increases, not the number of frauds, but the number of transactions per fraud, etc. We are trying to work on that. Whenever we see a particular pattern, we try and come with a solution to see that those patterns are taken care of. For example, we saw that frauds were being caused by the cards, the debit or credit cards being used at, say, ATMs, being used online in raw form. So we would have come out with an innovation or with an initiative whereby we said that you can actually withdraw or deposit cash without the need for a card. You can actually scan the QR code. You need not even touch the machine and you can complete your transaction. Similarly, for the card data loss online, we have come out with the solution of tokenization. You can tokenize your card in such a way that you can devalue the numerals on the face of a card and you can have those encrypted numbers moving around in the ecosystem, whereby even if the data loss is there, nobody can make any benefit out of that. Let me tell you, in the last 2.5 years since we have launched this, around 100 crore cards have been actually tokenized, and touch wood, I can still proudly claim that there has not been a data breach of late. There would have been data breaches, none of the card ecosystem where people have been misused or defrauded. So that gives us confidence to think that we can have these world or national level initiatives that can be unique for India as well. Just like some of those cultural expectations in India, we also feel that the AI should be customized to meet our requirements. So we are working towards that. Especially we have multiple digital payment institution initiatives already done. When we say DPI, digital payment institution initiatives have already been taken. I can talk about, I don't know how many of you would have heard about the Clearing Corporation of India Limited, CCIL, as early as in 2001. Then, of course, everybody would have heard about NPCI, the National Payments Corporation of India. People may not have heard of RBI or Reserve Bank of India, but NPCI comes into everybody's mind when we hear about UPI and other things. So the digital public institutions are already there. The digital public infrastructure by way of identity, we all know about Aadhaar, by way of payments, we know about UPI. Now we are looking at digital public intelligence being made through AI. So we are looking at DPI being the way in which we will present to the world as to how we can approach the AI. We have been now using API. From API, we have to move to AI. It's not going to be as difficult as we envisage, but it is also not going to be as simple as that. This is where the coordination is expected from the industry, from everyone. And we are willing to also offer our resources in case wherever it is required for participating in our sandboxes, for participating in any dialogue as well. There are so many experts in the country. We feel that we will be working together in case we can ring fence India. As I said, we can actually be a selfless country in terms of empowering the global south to be also here to use AI. Some of those data related things that we are having concerns, you would have heard about the initiatives of the Reserve Bank and the government to keep the data of the country safe and secure. So we have said in by way of expectations that the payments data, see, let me understand, let me also present to you the context behind some of those initiatives that would have taken. If two persons within the country are making a transaction between or among themselves, among a group, then why should this data go out at all? Why should this data being taken out for processing? If at all it is taken out for processing, why should it be taken out for storage? If at all it is taken out for storage, why should we not have control over who is using this data and who should not use this data? So that was the purpose behind us saying that any payments data that belongs to two residents should be stored within the country. Even if it is taken outside the country for processing, it should be brought back to the country within 24 hours. And that initiative has had many advantages, including us to have data control, including to have an awareness about who are all the people who enjoy the data and why do they want to use the data. But the other concomitant benefit has been the extent to which the data center infrastructure has come out in the country. A significant number of data centers have come out. Many of those institutions which were taking out data outside for processing are now bringing data here, including those data that's belonging to some other jurisdiction as well, because now they have the comfort of processing within the country, and we could be the BPO or BDO, back office data processors types of organizations as well. And that has really helped us now to look at data infrastructure being available to take care of the AI-related expectations. No, the data infrastructure is quite robust, and we are having hyper and ultra data centers which are computing or which are taking care of so much of computing power that we have those infrastructures already coming up. Similarly, when we talk about the cloud computing related expectation that may be required when we are looking at the processing in the AI world, we are aware of the compulsions and consequences of data being stored again on the cloud. We don't know whose cloud and where the cloud is. So Reserve Bank also has come out with an initiative whereby we will be setting up our cloud infrastructure as well, which will also enable our institutions to use the cloud infra. And probably we can be reasonably safe that this data is available for us when we want. Because just as we say that these cloud infrastructures are supposed to be highly safe and secure and robust, we do hear about some of those data breaches that have happened. Probably some of them may be public or publicized, some of them may not be. Some of the owners or infrastructure providers may be transparent, may not be accountable as well. So we need to be mindful of many of these things in the AI world as we go ahead. Because one of the risks that can come about this availability and use of data is from the legal perspectives as well. So we have to take care of that legal risk, we have to take care of the data risk. Ultimately, it's all about privacy. If I want my data not to be poisoned, if I want my data not to be used by anybody else, I have to have ownership over the data. I should be allowed to control and exercise my right over the data. Believe me, India may be a very popular destination for many to come in. That's one of the main reasons, or one of the reasons for that is also about the extent of data power that we have, the number of people that we have. Just today I was seeing a report saying that almost 900 million of our people use the internet for their requirements. Just imagine the footprints we are leaving. And this data can be the main source for many of these models to be developed as well. So people are using our data, people are using our information to develop those models. So we should jolly well be doing that in our country as well. That's our expectation. When we have the data, when we are the owners of the data, these models can also be developed by us. And one of those institutions which I was referring as a DPI could also be the Bhashini system or software or the platform where multiple languages are available. You can usually use them to condition. And believe me, in some of those use cases, you would have heard about conversational payments being made through UPI. Again, it's all about AI converting your speech to text and completing a transaction. There are challenges there because Vasudevan, different languages being tried to use, different lingo being used, how to customize and bring it into your model is a very tough thing. And when those transactions are delayed or if they fail because of failure to understand or complete the expectations of a converser, then the people will start blaming the system, saying that your platform is not ready. Believe me, it's not that. If India in one system alone can process almost 600 million transactions every day, we can do so much more going forward as well. I feel AI will definitely empower us, but we need to have those safety standards as well. One of the core principles on which we have developed our infrastructures, our institutions, our facilities is the customer centricity. And we will not be comfortable, we will not be empowering people to implement solutions that are not customer-centric. Because I'll tell you one thing, we may be a financial services regulator, But this sector or this segment is the most dependent one, and everybody comes in. There are certain things that are being said about, but I'll use it in a different context. That when we talk about marriage, people say that those who are in want to maybe go out, those who are outside may want to come in. That's a world we are living in when we talk about marriage. Similarly, in the financial services sector, we are having people who are not in want to come in, be they cab aggregators, maybe be they restaurant aggregators, be they any aggregator, they want to come in. And people who are in don't want to go out. Even if they are doing things which are not correct ethically and otherwise, they don't want to go out. So we try to track these people, and we try to say that you are not fit for the financial services sector. We would have done many a thing to say that you are prevented from operating for some time in these segments because of certain things we have seen which are not good. So this is a space, and when we are managing or when we are in this sector is taking care of the wealth of many others. You are not playing with your wealth, you are playing with the wealth of others. And when somebody's wealth is being played at, it's also probably going to impact his or her mental and physical health as well. So the health sector, the financial sector, maybe the law is one area, the legal sector is also being looked at, where things have to be looked at differently, not just by way of enablement or empowerment. You have to be so very ethical and so very customer-centric. And the way we have developed our infrastructure, we have always been interoperable. We would not like one player or one system be dictating or making us dependent on that. We believe in interoperability. Even here, we will be very happy if the industry collaborates. And as I said, customer centricity is one and interoperability is one. Because we cannot afford to invest so much on these powers, because you know how much of investment is being looked at by the big tech and other players who are doing so many things on this space. But here we need to collaborate, and we need to not compete but participate together. And this is where we feel that the interoperability will be a very good thing. We have set up our own innovation hub as well, the Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. You are most welcome to come there and spend time. In the innovation hub, we do many things, but one of the things that has been recently done is something on AI called the Mule Hunter. See, when you actually have a digital fraud, it's about somebody impersonating you, somebody trying to call you up in your family's voice, trying to extract money, trying to take out your money. But then how do you take out? So you need to have those mule accounts. You need to have those people who rent out their accounts for others to use, so that these monies can go in there, and from there they can move out in the ecosystem. So these have started creating complications for us. We call them as mule accounts. So this particular AI is a mule hunter software. It looks into the patterns. What have you been doing in the last couple of months? What is the pattern now appearing like? What are those transactions that are coming in? How many transactions come in, and how long do they stay in the account? And when they come in, and how much time does it take the account holder to move the money? So those things are being looked at, including the geographies from where the monies are coming in. So this software has been now developed. It is working with 2 large banks. The success has been good. I am still saying success has been good, because what was being done by that particular bank or institution till now without this software being employed, maybe the success rate was around 40%. That means you identify 100 accounts are as likely mule accounts, only 40 were coming out to be. That means 60 were not really mule accounts. So you are actually inconveniencing those customers who are probably thrown out by these softwares as false positive. So in the mule hunter situation, we have a success rate of 90%. We are still working towards coming closer, but in these 90% of the cases, the time taken is also a little long, because as I was saying, millions of transactions are coming in. Now, how do you make the frequency much more nearer to real time? So that's one work that's going on. So what is taking now maybe 7 days could take 1 day. The next effort will be to prevent those transactions from coming in itself. It's not about detecting after something has happened. How do you prevent those things from happening, so that we may block the account for money coming in, or we may even block the account for money going out? Let the money come in, let the money reside there, we can block, and then see what best can be done with that money. So we are actually working very closely. We will be very happy to partner, because as I said, it learns on its own, it creates rules on its own. So we call it maybe tomorrow we can add one more phrase to that, to say that Gen Mule Hunter, predictive mule hunter. We can add all those lingos and acronyms to this, because that's what you are actually doing. But the problem is, as we are fearing, we don't want to inconvenience anybody by saying that your account is mule, your account is fraudulent, because if it gets escalated to the law enforcement authorities, you know the complications that can come out. So we are very, very keen to see that these things are avoided. But the Innovation Hub is a place where these things are being looked at. I'll be happy if many of those initiatives that are going to be discussed in the afternoon today by the startups, you can come and partner there and have a sandbox there as well. We'll be happy to provide our data. We are also an institution where huge amount of data we have on many aspects of our financial ecosystem. Many of them are accessible through our website, but we are also now providing a lab where people can come in and use the data sets and do the research, try to come out with solutions which can empower everybody. So again, it's a PPP. So for people who I just heard before you took over, interest for research and PhD in IIMU. So this could be some of those research topics as well, and your need for data could be taken care of by us. So we are willing to provide that. And as I was saying, the initiatives that have been there, I talked about the free AI initiative we are doing. MeitY has come out with the draft regulatory framework. MeitY is the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. They have come out with the draft regulatory framework on AI. They have also set up centers of excellence in many areas. You know, the India AI mission is also coming up very strongly. We have the Airavat platform, all nice acronyms as well. You see what's the explanation of Airavat, you will know. It's all about AI. AI platform being available for everyone to come and use, compute and compete among them yourselves, not with the others, but then we can actually bring the country to the forefront in many of these things. I was very happy to see a recent report to say that where it is said that out of some 122 parameters and 83 countries being covered, we are the second in terms of talent. Second, in terms of the resources that is available to think and to do something. So why should be this resource not be utilized for our own benefit? Why can't we leverage on that and see that we develop solutions that are accessible and available for the world at large? Global South is one initiative. Probably this talent could be better utilized to see that we develop for our country and we develop for the world from here. One particular disturbing number there was we are actually 68 in terms of infrastructure. That's where I thought this PPP could come in to develop infrastructure, to develop platforms that can leverage on this human talent, human skills to develop things for India. I was looking at the negativities of use of AI. I was also trying to use something for my own purpose, but I was not happy with the output or outcome I got. Probably the way it has been fed, I don't know whether the regulatory bent can be captured by those software or by those Gen AI. I probably wanted to ask, if this is happening in the ecosystem, what should I do next? It shouldn't tell me to stop using that system. It should tell me what guardrails I can bring in to see that the system becomes safe. So that bent should also be captured in the way these models get programmed. That's not being seen. And I don't want somebody in my team or in my office to put out a paragraph that can come in the monetary policy on the chat GPT to say that, can you give me a nicer version so that it becomes crisp for me to put up in the note? Because these are things that are going to happen tomorrow, day after, next week. We don't want that to come out here. So I want to condition our people that what should go in there should be very carefully put. It cannot be everything and anything. I don't know if, based on developments, in case we take certain decisions as a regulator, as a supervisor, whether you will have a software to predict our mind as to what we will do if a particular situation happens. People may be tempted as part of RegTech, as part of SoupTech to come out with a predictive behavior if a particular scenario or situation is there. Sometimes we don't ourselves know what we might be doing or what should be doing because we go by what's happening on the street at real time and then take certain decisions. So those things are all very challenging when we look at the predictive nature. So we are very okay if this predictive behavior of AI can be used for, say, credit risk modeling, for loan collection management, trying to see how a loan, when it has been given, what should be the way in which a particular individual could be approached for loan collections. But for saying that whether this guy should get a loan or not based on this is something that can be a little damaging, as I was saying. The exclusion worries us more than inclusion. And the gender biases that are coming in. The more as we see the gender biases. Now, how do we actually negate or remove these gender biases from a model is extremely challenging. And in some situations, probably we may be also expected to vet a model which an institution is probably planning to implement. So the yardsticks or those guardrails are also being looked at. You know, there's an AI Safety Institute being talked about. Those AI Safety Institute is probably going to look at these models that are going to come into the country being used by different sectors, and whether the AI Safety Institute can actually vet before a product is being released. But the problem here is most of those models, when they come in, they say it's a beta version, and they remain beta for long. By then, enough damage has been done. I don't know, ChatGPT in the last few years, how many versions have already come out? And some for paid, some for unpaid people as well. And like fintechs, India is seen as the fastest or the biggest adapter of these things, probably because it's still free yet. And tomorrow when it gets charged, we'll have to see how much they will be used or how frequently they will be used. But the data, see, I have this adage with me: when something is free, data is the fee. Okay. So if you are getting something free, believe me, you are contributing to the data. And that data is much more expensive for you and much more lucrative for them than the charge you would have paid for using that particular service. That we have seen in our world. Many of our players in the payment space, etc., are behemoths. They also enjoy huge amounts of data, and they are all successful because of the tools they have deployed to make better meaning out of this data, all using AI. But if it is to be for their benefit and not for the community benefit, we look at them with a little, I won't say disdain, but discomfort. For example, when they find that one particular user is not good for them to provide more services, we are saying that, why don't you have that person who has been blacklisted to be available to the community as well? Why should each entity try to have the same experience to blacklist an individual? If I am found rogue in one institution, probably my behavior is rogue. I may be rogue across other institutions as well. Can we have an industry-wide blacklist? Can we use this AI to empower that and see that, okay, as and when my transactions increase in the ecosystem, I may be probably removed from the blacklist, or I may be really seen to it that nobody even entertains me, not just in the financial services sector, but for any other services as well. Those are the things actually we can benefit from AI, and we want us to continue in that mode. I honestly don't know, because the timer has stopped, as to when I should stop. I will be advised by the organizers as to when my time ends. I'll be also happy to take questions, because I'm sure many of you might think that the regulator is a different animal altogether. No, we are as much a person like you are. We are also into this world in an exciting way. We every day look at so many people willing to come to us and present their models. We do discuss with them, and we do engage with them to see whether we can learn better, whether what we are doing we can do better using AI. AI, in the sense, it's nothing like that is going to be developed tomorrow. So when I look at things like beyond AI, I'm looking at those guardrails that need to be brought in to see that AI functions well, and AI actually responds well to our requirements. As I said, centricity, interoperability, the data privacy. DPDP has come. DPDP is going to be a very critical input and a responsibility for everyone who is going to use data. The damages can be very deafening and negative, and we don't want anybody to be caught on the wrong side. One of the I would say allegations, discomforts with RBI, some people say, is that you are very mild on punitive action. If I want to penalize the entity, one of my responsibilities in addition to fintech is enforcement. Okay, so half the day in we are listening to entities and we do have a process in which we have punitive action being taken. But then the market and the ecosystem, if you compare with the global activities, our punitive actions are smaller in terms of number. We may talk about 1 crore of rupees or 1 lakh of rupees. There are hundreds of millions of dollars. So people say that. But when you are handling data, and we are handling data for a global community, be mindful of these risks that you are going to entail with. Legal, as I said, is a very mild form of me saying, but it could wipe away your entity, it could wipe away your reputation. So wherever you are going to step foot, do so with caution. Think that just like when I use data or when I use a digital service, I am leaving a digital footprint. Whatever you are using or doing with my data, you are also leaving a footprint. So be extremely careful that if you are caught, you will probably never be able to come out. But we don't want that to happen. So we have to have those guardrails, because that ethical responsibilities are more important to discharge than somebody saying that you should do like this and you should not do like this. That's where those culture bias, the gender bias, See, you know how many languages we speak, and if I am from South, I come to Mumbai and talk in Hindi, people immediately tell me, are you a Madrasi types? That bias is there. When I go to the North, definitely they may appreciate my Hindi, but then they don't appreciate my lingo. Just imagine those complexities that come into our models, and based on which, if somebody is deciding whether to give a loan or not to a North Indian or a South Indian, it's going to impact. And many of the people behind implementing these models are not even involved in the decision making. They are claiming that my loans get sanctioned in 3 seconds. We are not happy with that statement. You have to be very nuanced when you take such a decision. Don't claim to fame that I can do in 3 seconds, I can do faster. It's not like a cube here. If somebody gets money or not is being decided by you. So we are now looking at a situation where it's not human in the loop, it should be machine in the loop. Machine should be incidental, like Tata's, I believe, when they say that we also make steel. They do many things, including making steel. Even here, when the AI is used to give a lending decision, we also lend, but we also are taking care of so many things around the person before that lending decision is given. We want that to be the DNA of everyone. Be it lending, as I said, soup tech, reg tech, and everything tech is coming in. And they say AI empowered tech. But we have to be convinced that AI is really being used, and it is being used in an ethical and transparent way. That's the purpose of the committee. It has good subject matter experts who are all leading these AI initiatives in the industry, in the government, in the academia. They will all be happy to probably hear some of those learnings that are going to come out from this conclave as well. I'll be happy if the institute also shares with us the outcomes of today and the digital enclave that follow as well. We will also be happy to use, and we are going to have experts from cross country to also share with you what's happening there. All those learnings are useful for us also. We'll be very happy to take. As I said, we are in the supply side. We are in the supply side as RBI. We are here to give you data. We are here to empower you. But you should also be worthy enough to demand this supply. You should also be there to meet the demand function as well. The supply demand should be a balance, just like innovation and responsible innovation should be balanced. Everything is something that's in balance. The country will be prosperous. I am sure we are in a first world problem. We have enough of everything. How do we actually make a good out of it is something that's going to be a challenge. So I stop here, and I wish the deliberations all success, and the students and the institute as well, many more such IDCs going forward. As I said, if I have any questions, I will always be available. Otherwise, I can always be available on an offline mode as well, so not an issue. Thank you. I can have a seat? Okay.
What a powerful keynote. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights. And I think, to know that RBI is responsibly taking these initiatives to ensure that the public at large is very safe with the kind of data that they have, right? I would like to now open the floor to a couple of questions. I think our wonderful students would help around in passing around the mic.
Thank you for your question. I have a question. So you mentioned that you've deployed AI mules in a couple of banks. Is there a mandate to deploy it across the country to all the banks, that is including private and public? And do you have a timeline, or do you have a time frame by when you would have a stable model which will do this mule hunting?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Actually, based on the learnings from that particular institution or institutions where this has been deployed, a recent announcement was made that it could be used by other institutions as well. We don't distinguish between public, private, etc. So most welcome to engage with our innovation hub and then try to deploy the model or try to see how the model works and customize it to meet individual bank requirements. We don't want it to be like a omnibus model that can be used by everyone, and it has to be customized because the rules are different, the processes are different. So you could customize it. You are most welcome. If you have any difficulty in reaching out to the hub, you can reach out to me. I will facilitate your interactions and those institutions which want to partner with the hub as well. And as I said, it need not be a bank lender in terms of private public. It could be a non-bank lender as well who wants to deploy. And I can actually share with you one more thing that's happening. You have heard of UPI in payment space. Now we are bringing out something called ULI, Unified Lending Interface. That again is going to be a DPI in the lending space. Just imagine we have 12 loan journeys, personal loans, dairy loans, mortgage loans, education loans, any loan that can be actually given out by these banks and non-banks who are partnered with the platform. On the other side, we have data sources. Why should you worry about an institution or as an individual to get your data? We have 54 data sources as of now, including the land records from various states, including the dairy milk pouring data, including the GSTN data, Aadhaar database, invoices database, everything we have. So 54 data sources as of now, around 20-25 lenders on this side. Just imagine you come to the platform, ask for a loan, it can pick up. If you want a choice of lender, if you want a choice of data, it can pick up and give you a loan. As of now, you come through a lender, but going forward, we believe that we can democratize that as well by making you come to the platform, the lenders will bid for your loan. So we will be in a world where the customer will be empowered. As I said, you will be empowered to choose your lender, you will be empowered to choose which data source the data can be accessed from. None of these data sources or data sets will be stored in the platform. It's all through API, they will be taken and used only for the particular transaction. So the ULI is going to be one more. I like the AI, ULI, API, DPI, all those things being used. No, all those things are going to be partnered in this. And here we also will use intelligence. AI will be used intelligently to see about customer behavior, customer scores, past experience. You can create a mandate automatically when you take a loan. So we see your repayment behavior. Everything can be done through the platform. The ULI has been in the pilot mode. We will be probably looking at a national launch as well. So that may be bigger than UPI also.
Good morning. Go ahead.
One of the key factor is foreign exchange rates. And I'm happy that RBI is positively intervening in regulating the foreign exchange rates. My question is RBI using AI for prediction or taking some actions on the foreign exchange, which will give us confidence as business, because many of our policies get completely changed due to the foreign exchange rates changes.
See, typically, as I said, everything in this world is based on demand and supply. You have to be responsible and responsive to that. Normally, when we look at the foreign exchange reserves being accumulated or taken or even being used, etc., there are certain principles that come in: safety, liquidity, and of course return when we deploy. But the exchange rates are supposed to be market driven and market determined. It's between what currency is in demand and what currency needs to be given. We don't have that activity where we look at a particular level and then decide what to do, etc. It's not like that. It's a market play. But of course, we have also the mandate that if there is excessive volatility, then probably some interventions may be there to curb or smoothen that volatility. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it's a decision that individuals have to take about when to maybe pay, when not to receive, etc. It's something. But today you would have seen some more announcements have been made as to how you can use your export earnings for what purposes, etc. So we don't do that. Having said that, we also have a model internally. So we look at that model, effective exchange rate, what it should be, etc. internally, and that could be an yardstick for us to see how the market is behaving. Otherwise, it's all about market taking care of its requirements. We don't. So we don't have a particular level in mind, or we don't intervene to keep that level in mind as well. So you have to be very, very, like you will be empowered. No, you can take your decision. You don't have to worry that somebody else is managing that for you. Why should they manage? I can manage myself. So we will leave it at that. As I said, there are certain things that happen, but not for an open forum. We can discuss one-on-one as well sometimes. But be clear that we don't intervene to look at a particular level. It's all market determined. Only to curb excess volatility, sometimes there may be some interventions that are there. Hope that convincingly answers your question.
Good morning. I am Shamik. I lead global marketing for an international MVNO enabler. Now, my question is, you had mentioned cloud computing and the risks associated with it. Now, DOT migrated its digital intelligence platform to the private servers of Amazon in May. Right, now telecom companies have a lot of data, including financial data. This move was also contested by the private telecom operators. How do you react to that?
Those are individual decisions, discussions by different regulators and different sets of agencies. I don't want to comment about that. Having said that, I know that the government or MeitY has also probably given out a list of cloud service providers who could be used by the government institutions and government departments and ministries. The name you said could be also figuring in that list. There may be another 15 or 20 such service providers also in that list who have been typically, as you may say, whitelisted. That means they have been certified for their practices, for their transparency related activities, for their capabilities. They might have been looked at and then they might have been shortlisted. So that's available on their website and public, it's for public use. So could be one. But there are certain challenges when we look at some of these cloud service providers and maybe some of the infrastructures that are being hosted anywhere else. So we in RBI, you probably are reflecting about the mention that I made about RBI wanting to set up its own cloud infrastructure. We want to take care of some of those banks who may not be comfortable to discuss, negotiate or participate in those cloud service provider infrastructure. So probably we thought we can help them out by providing this infra, especially for small banks, small requirements. You know, some of those banks are quite small, but they have a cloud requirement. Some of us have the difficulty of walking into certain private sector banks or foreign banks because they look very sophisticated. We're more comfortable to walk into a local public sector bank as well. I'm just saying that was the mindset thing people had. Here also, we don't want them to be conditioned by certain things that are there in the bigger institutions and they may not be comfortable enough, so our infrastructure could be available. As of now and as always, we will only be providing alternate services which people can use. You did mention a number of things about who you are, but you never said which institution, which activity, etc. So similarly, some of these things are also like available, but we cannot be very forthcoming into saying that what is the thing that we take care when we provide this service. But believe me, this service again is a public DPI type of infrastructure that is available. Is it okay? Does it answer you? Because I don't want to talk about some decisions taken up by some other regulators or some other department. It could be in their own interest and initiative that they have done.
Oh, thank you. My question is basically you answered part of my question very nicely with the RBI's infrastructure. The issue is Amazon has a lot of clouds, mirror servers, etc. So I'm not very sure whether that is being taken into account.
Can we take this offline if
Yeah,
you don't
sure.
We can take this offline, we can take this online as well. I can tell you what happens when some things are being said, when some things are not being said. Very difficult. For example, let me tell you about one data point that was there of a particular bank. A bank's core banking solution, such a major bank, it was actually outsourcing some activities in that core banking solution to a particular service provider. One day we asked that institution to do a small audit to see where all the data is going. You know, to their surprise, they found out that there are 54 entities or persons who are using this data source for different purposes across the globe. Actually, you had one agreement with one TSP, but he had so many agreements with so many else downstream and upstream, 54 data sources which the bank did not even know. And just imagine, you sometimes give your desktop or other service remote access. You don't know what all they are saying other than for the particular requirement you have reached out to them. So we have to be very mindful. So I don't know where the servers are being stored. I know for well when we said that the payment data has to be stored locally, many of those servers that were located elsewhere were all brought to India. Then we did an audit to see which all the servers are talking to which all servers. We got comfort by talking to them. So AWS may have its own policy. It doesn't come under our direct realm as well because we are looking at the financial services, not the entire infra of IT and other things.
Right.
I hope I could answer the other part as well.